Oh, hi, we are here. What's up? I was just double checking, What's up, guys? Yeah, it's Spessy and Quill here. I don't know about you, Quill. I've been drinking in the background here, just watching the game.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that excuse too for why I didn't start talking for so long.
So I'm still waiting on my Tesco's delivery. We've got some more beers incoming, but the next game is going to be Tailbot versus Kams. Obviously, we just saw Forever YOLO making it through. Really interesting as well that it was AQ, the deck that Shaggy got stuck on. I mean, I had some similar issues the last couple of days, last weekend with my AQ deck. And like a lot of the time, you look at this AQ deck and you're like, it's really good into all these decks, but actually, it just lost 3 times in a row. Shaggy's got to be gutted, right?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like with a Recast Queen and kind of that Swarm, I just feel like there's so many different lines you can take, right? Like there's just so many different decisions to be made. That I feel like it's a really easy deck to kind of go. You think this line is going to be good, and then you just overspend a little bit. It's very easy, with your payoff cards, managing your payoff, managing the amount of Swarm you have. So I can definitely agree with Arrakis not being my favorite.
So people of the chat as well, what did you think of the last game? Did you enjoy? What did you think of the casters as well? That's my other question. So obviously, we had Jag and Spiro doing their thing. We just had Red Dream as well, giving his very long-winded answer. In his defense, right? He said to me, he was like, "Do you want the short answer or the long answer?" I was like, "Yeah, we'll go for the long one." But it was a long-winded one. I agreed with what he was saying, though.
To be fair, I think a lot of people have like manifestos already written for Alchemist, so I don't think Red Ram's really the only one here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's just Quill and I. We're waiting to see the deck lists for the Kams and Tailbot matchup because we've not seen them at all. Of course, the official casters, which is going to be Tyr and Lionheart, they will have seen the lists beforehand. We have not, so we're going to sort of be reacting to the deck lists as and when they come in. But I would be like just looking at Shaggy's lineup in this AQ deck in particular. One thing that I really would have loved to have seen, and I'm kind of hoping to see from Tailbot, and I'll be interested if we do, is tailoring the decks with the fact that you're not banning Syndicate in mind. You look at the Triss in this last game for Shaggy as AQ against Syndicate, and the chances are, Quill, you're going to find a load of crime cards. You're going to find maybe a Bone Talisman when you want a Spontaneous. The odds on you finding that card that you're really looking for at that exact time with Triss isn't that high. So I would definitely not be surprised to see Tailbot. He ditched Triss last weekend. Obviously, we've seen that version with Portal. Also, he was playing Imprisonment last weekend as maybe aimed at locking those spenders and making those Syndicate matchups slightly more favorable. We've just seen, obviously, like AQ getting battered at the end. But I wouldn't be that surprised if Tailbot goes for that Syndicate approach of trying to just make it difficult for Syndicate to graft out. It's the one deck every single player is going to bring.
Yeah, that's why we've seen like a lot of people lean towards, also those Horson Jr. Syndicates as well, kind of foregoing that Triss. We've even seen some people go more like greedy variants a lot, right? With the poisons, we've seen people even just running double poisons, still without the Triss. A little bit. Well, you cut the Triss to go less high rolly, but then now they're like, oh yeah, I gotta go more high rolly. So I don't know. There's a lot of different things, a lot of different variants I've kind of seen over this past month, and Tailbot's always the one to kind of bring some innovation into it. I mean, the man, after all, brought Cleaver to that one open where no one else had even been playing it at that point. So I'm excited to see what he's got cooked up here for his lineup.
I guess that's why his favorite card is what's he called, Carlo something or other.
Carlo,
So yeah, just looking forward to seeing the decks for sure. Going to be like a little bit of a gap, I think, before the next game. But what did you people in chat think of the first game? Were you surprised Forever YOLO took it? What was like your favorite moment and stuff like that? Let us know. I'm just going to continue drinking, mate, to be honest.
Sounds like a good plan. I mean, we have a couple more hours to go yet, so definitely gotta pace ourselves a little bit, or
it could get messy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not one to really follow that advice, unfortunately.
Yeah, so for those that don't know, I think last time I saw Quill cast an open, he ended up on the floor with his green screen broken. He fell through his green screen And he was moaning about his back for weeks afterwards as well.
No, it was my funny bone. I like somehow fell in an odd way and like hit my funny bone, and it was like I couldn't bend my elbow properly for like a week and a half. It was a sad moment, to be honest.
Yeah, and obviously we're a couple weeks away from the end of the season. In fact, it might only be a week now. I need to start climbing. New journey coming up, and then after we're gonna have the journey next month. We're gonna have tomorrow 49 minutes, I believe it is, roughly, of Jason and Berza talking through the patch notes. So hoping for some NR changes. We're gonna have a new journey, and then what I'm really excited for, like the monthly content. But Quill, talk to me about the next journey. Who are you predicting? Obviously, we've just had Yennefer. And seemingly there is a pattern of male, female, male, female. What's your bet for the next journey?
Who's the most popular? Like, is there like, I guess maybe like a Horson or something would be kind of fun. I want like a clown leader, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've been very, supportive of the whole idea of getting like a bounce house, like carnival board, to kind of go with these Nilfgaard matchups. You know what I mean? Just the clown nature of those games always just kind of get me in the mood for a carnival. So I'd like to see some fun things, kind of doing something a little bit different. But as my main journey that I wanted was like a Shoop journey. But we already got basically like a Shoop journey. It's just come in the form of multiple paid cosmetics. So
yeah, like my prediction was Dandelion, but people in my chat rightly told me that Dandelion was like the secondary character in Geralt's journey. Somebody in chat here, who was it? Waltemps mentioned Zoltan. I think Zoltan's a good shout. I would see it being like a main storyline character, and then afterwards it would make sense for it to be Triss, as she's sort of the one left out. But they have been following this male-female pattern. Obviously, saying that, we did have Alza, so who knows? It could be something like an Olgierd would be amazing as well, right? I would love an Olgierd journey for sure.
Now that you say that, though, I kind of like the idea of Dandelion, right? He fits that whole clown journey that I'm looking for, So, yeah, I could definitely be keen on a Dandelion journey, to be honest.
Okay, so I reckon we're going to be seeing the deck list in just a short little amount of time, as we have had the changing casters on the official stream. Best of luck to Tia and Lionheart. Hope it goes well for them as well. I've got some Baileys as well, mate, but this is all that I found a whole bottle of Baileys. Do you have Baileys in America?
Yep.
But this is all that was in there, so a little bit gutted about that one.
Yeah, I got some Honey Jack in my coffee, and then I got a bottle of Southern Comfort. This is kind of like what I guess what like people who watch my drunk streams kind of know me for, is the plastic bottles. Just the high class Southern Comfort. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then when the Tesco delivery gets here, I am going to be going downstairs to get myself some beer, because that is what I want, Beardy. Listen, yeah? I've got no beer in the house. The Tesco delivery is late. It's not my fault. But no, Baileys are nice. That's just have Baileys on its own, innit? Baileys for me is a admittedly we would have like the Tesco own brand, like Irish cream liqueur, and we would drink it from the bottle from like our parents' cabinet. We'd go around to each other's house and get hammered, probably at the age of like 13.
Oh, dude, the first time I got like really, really drunk, I was like, I don't know, I was a bit late bloomer. I didn't really drink much in high school, but I was like 19, and my friends got they pretty much just whatever you could find, right? Being underage and all here in the US is a struggle. But they had found a bottle of just gin, like this bottom of the barrel, like really cheap gin. And being that we're 19, we just wanted to get drunk, right? So we were just drinking straight gin, no gin and tonics, no mixers, no nothing.
Well, we have the deck lists up on screen, hopefully coming soon. Tailbot first. Let's have a gander. We've got the Line Pockets. We have the Rakastorm, the Blaze, and the Imprisonment. That's what I'm talking about. Love this out of Tailbot. Looking over, as mentioned, at the Arachaswarm, no Triss either. And I love this from Tailbot. It's, as I predicted, sort of going for that same idea. He is not going to be banning Syndicate. That is for sure. All his decks teched for that Syndicate matchup. Often, you're building a Skellige deck, you're choosing between Morkvarg, Hjalmar, and Togvi. Morkvarg, fantastic for dealing with all those things like Sea Jackals. But Hjalmar as well can remove that cleaver, and that allows you to save your Morkvarg. I love this lineup. The Tavern Brawl in the line pockets, the Horson Jr. just super teched for that Syndicate mirror. Tailbot is out to get some Syndicate scum.
Spessy, you see the Horson Jr., but do you see the father as well?
Oh,
we see the father in there. What are you
Horson Senior?
A Furco or like maybe a Redanian or something? Like, what are you transforming? Like, what are these ideal targets? Or is he just kind of just playing it for like this? I don't know.
That is a great spot. Yeah, so like as mentioned, all these decks really, really tailored for the Syndicate decks, but Horson Senior creeping in there unexpectedly. No Jack, that's something we saw Shaggy sort of follow suit with, maybe like because it's not as good against Nilfgaard. We've got the Kurt in there and the Heatwave, so he's going to be good into Kelly. But this Horson Senior, yeah, traditionally in a Congregate deck, you would be transforming Firesworn Zealots. As you mentioned, you've got Furco and the ship, but there's not that much else that you'd want to be transforming. I mean, I guess just as a value card, like.
So I kind of initially saw in chat, but kind of what they're saying. If you get that Nilfgaard queue, right? Like, holy man, transforming spies is absolutely huge, right? Like, just imagine that. Like, I mean, yeah, like value on like Duchesses, Emissaries, but then also getting rid of like a Joachim is pretty sick too. So,
that is filthy. I love it. I've been talking to Trinet recently because I've been playing Curse Knight in Northern Realms. Trinet's been playing Malaspina to counter the Joachim, and Tailbot taking a line out of Trinet's book and saying, actually, do you know what is a good card? Horson Senior. That's a very bloody good card, especially if you get the bonded tag on these cut-ups. Demands an immense amount of respect. Love it from Tailbot. Certainly Nilfgaard and Syndicate, the two most common decks you're going to be seeing all weekend from almost everybody. So far, we've seen Nilfgaard from everybody. I believe there's one person at least that's not got Nilfgaard that we'll see later. But yeah, what a cool Syndicate deck. Kurt as well, good in the mirror. Like you can look at Kurt and just see him as a Purify, but you Kurt the Jacques. It just increases the bank and the reach you have on that tunnel drill because you kill the bountied unit and that drill just spends even more than you would have right to otherwise.
So like moving on to like this Arrakis Swarm deck, this is like just as much control tall punch as you can put into. I have to assume you're gonna, possibly. I mean, probably gonna ban like a Skellige line. This is like a banned Skellige lineup, pretty much. With the Horson, and definitely. Now we're seeing like a Yurden, Heatwave, and Geralt of Rivia. How do you feel about the triple, the trifecta of just like tall unit to punish here in this Arrakis Swarm? Yeah.
So as mentioned, no Triss, and going for this Geralt of Rivia instead. It's going to be much better into Syndicate, that's for sure. Also, Geralt of Rivia has a real issue because it plays straight into Coup de Grace. So for most decks, you're really running the risk of giving your opponent a great coup. But of course, as a Arrakis Swarm, that's not going to be relevant. Still getting the location as well for that extra little bit of carryover. Obviously, the Geralt of Rivia is a bit risky, but yeah, love to see no Triss because that Triss is going to be terrible. Kams' decks here, bit of a different lineup. The one that stands out instantly is the Kel Tullis deck instead of the Arrakis Swarm. Did you see Arrakis Swarm struggle? And instead of the Skellige setup that people like Red Drain, potentially, certainly Shaggy, he's gone for the Nature's Gift. Idea being is it just sort of fits this lineup a little bit better. It has good matchups into the likes of Nilfgaard. Maybe it's a worse deck, just as like a deck on paper than Syndicate. Skellige, sorry. But it's also good into Skellige, which is another one of those decks you're expected to see a lot of.
Yeah, kind of a little bit different, like you said, of a lineup here. Cam's kind of going for the most part. Like he's kind of a player that kind of goes with what he knows for the most part. And these are decks, he's very comfortable with. I've seen him play time and time again over the Quillen Cup. Bringing almost these same lineups. Like this Nature's Gift that he has here is pretty much the same list for like the past 3 months, bar the Ciaran slot, and then this Dragoon for like an Oak Critters or something. But Gift being one of those decks that just stays really the same. And Cam's kind of agreeing that it's just really good. He feels comfortable with it. It's just very strong on blue. Can sometimes go and abuse red coins too. So yeah, very much a player that doesn't mess about in the deck builder.
Yeah, looking at his lineup, certainly not going to be banning SK, which you'd expect Tailbot to. Tailbot got having those cards like Morkvarg, like Horse and Junior, that are really bad into Skellige, whereas Kams with his Carapace and Nature's Gift, certainly decks that you would feel confident going into Skellige matchups with, generally speaking. Also interesting just to see a couple of the tech options that Kams has gone for. Has gone for Triss as his high-end card in line pockets, while sticking to the Heat Wave with no Purify, having the Jacques in there as well. In the Keltalis deck, really interesting to see the Strays of Sparla as well as the Taskmaster. Often you can see people choosing between Berserker or Taskmaster. Cam's going for both, and actually including the Strays of Sparla as well, just so he can move his Keltalis back 1 point less if used offensively than a Berserker. But of course, if you're playing against someone that's got a Dragoon, he's going to be really glad that Strays of Sparla is in his deck later on. Also, the Nilfgaard deck going for the 5 provision lock cards instead of the Slave Hunters, which means proactivity could be a bit of an issue for Kams. We have seen this is his preferred setup. In qualifiers, he had this random Ducal Guard, which he has kicked. But certainly look out for proactivity struggles. You would imagine, with the fact that these locks are in the deck, Syndicate is not a ban he is planning on taking.
Yeah, these locks come in handy. Obviously, really like Cleaver and Drill, being able to kind of easily answer those, which sometimes can prove problematic. Some rounds where if Cleaver doesn't go really too tall, you don't want to go and like invo that and to just disrupt the spender there. So it's kind of nice to have these locks, definitely for a lot of matchups. Can also lock some boats against Skellige. In the Skellige matchup, you're probably more wanting to have these locks, as they do have that armor, because there's a lot of random damage in the meta.
There it is. I was gonna try and get in there myself, mate. Didn't happen.
Dude, I've done it in literally every time I talked about armor. I sneak it in every time. It's one of my favorite memes at this point.
I'm really interested to see what Kams would ban. If I was just to say, look, Spess, here's Kams deck lists. What is your go-to ban? I would say probably a Raka Swarm. Maybe I'm deluded on that, but like obviously they play Uridan. Nature's Gift can get Uridan for a lot of points. This Line Pockets deck without the Horson is got like one less answer. Also, poisons aren't doing much into a Raka Swarm. Keltalis, I don't think it's the best matchup. I'm not exactly that experienced in it. It could kind of go either way. And certainly Nilfgaard, the locks aren't going to be doing much against AQ. So I'd expect Kams to just have like a AQ ban if he sees it, and then he's got like a bit of flexibility if not. Whereas Tailbot certainly looks like a Skellige ban, but we'll have to wait and see if my predictions are correct on that one.
So got a question for you, Spessy.
Yo.
Do you predict that we will get the Clown Mirror in the Nilfgaard matchup? And second question, follow-up, do you want it?
I want it, yeah. I want to see Alchemist stealing Usurper.
Predicted it here first, folks. We're going to see Alchemist stealing Usurper in the mirror. So it should be a really fun time. I'm assuming for both players, right? Just a good time for all involved, audience, players.
Wouldn't be surprised if this is the last appearance Alchemist in its current climate or current format, current design has at an open, because I would expect it to be one of the cards that we see discussed tomorrow, hopefully with some Northern Realms cards, yo. Hopefully some Northern Realms cards, like a little bit of Meave love. That'll be cool. Oh, bans are in. Tailbot has his Line Pockets banned. Cam's leaving the AQ open, the Raka Swarm. So I was wrong on that one. I was completely flipping wrong. Tailbot, he ain't banning no Line Pockets. He gets rid of that Kelly. And wow, shows I'm just been completely chatting rubbish for the last hour. I guess like my way of looking at this is Kams has just got his ban planned. Tailbot, maybe he's just saying, look, I'm gonna. Yeah, I'm not. I was right. I'm doubting myself. I'm already getting tipsy, mate. I said he wasn't going to ban Line Pockets. He didn't ban Line Pockets. So yeah. And no Skellige for Kams either. So actually, when I was playing a somewhat similar lineup to Tailbot in qualifiers before, I think his version is really nice. I much prefer it to sort of the vibe I was going for, like really investing in ditching Triss, for example, in his AQ. He would be banning Skellige if he sees it, but Kelly is like the other one that seems like a pretty difficult matchup. It can be winning, but it's certainly not ideal. So I think he's going to be glad that he's not seen Keltalis and Skellige. I think that would be Tailbot's worst nightmare, really, of a lineup. Kams does have that Keltalis, which does eat a ban, as she often does.
Honestly, I'm kind of glad to see a tournament match without Keltalis being played. I mean, we didn't see the last one, but like, I don't know. It's one of probably the more decks I'm kind of sick of at the moment, if I'm being honest. It's been around for how many months, and just the whole interaction with Siri Dash. I'm gonna put this out there: Siri Dash worse than Alchemist for me.
Yeah, I would agree. Actually, yeah, I would agree. Like, at least Alchemist has got like some redeeming qualities. Like, you can play him with Warrett, the all-seeing Geezer. Siri Dash is just she just feels very like, oh, you have the answer or you don't have the answer, and it just dictates the state of the game. Like, also, if you draw her in round 1, not a big fan.
Mm-hmm. And it's so going from like a viewer caster perspective, at least the redeeming quality from Alchemist is that sometimes you take yourself out of it. It can be fun to watch. I'm not gonna lie, I've through this month of the Quillen Cup, it's been kind of the only thing that really gets me going there. You're just flipping out, you're like, what's it gonna steal? It's I don't know.
Mate, I have a serious anxiety issue with the Alchemist. The way it just takes so long. Oh, yeah. My anxiety just goes through the roof whenever I see the card played against me. To be fair as well, I have had the world's worst Alchemist. Back in like the first month of the expansion, I was playing a Witcher Nilfgaard deck with Vesemir. I use my Alchemist, and I see on top of my deck Vesemir, Eskel, Lambert, or whatever the actual order they're in. Like, the actual order they were on top of my deck. It was unbelievable. So obviously I ditched Lambert because Bane was in the chat. I gave my opponent Lambert.
To be honest, I was playing Alchemist before it was cool. Back when I was back during my casino Lippy days, you got the nice Ophiri merchant in there. Because the idea behind it was we had like a ton of 4P bad bronzes. So I was just like, and my best one, I was playing against McBeard, and I used a Crystal Skull to put a Spores on the top. I Ophiri merchanted, gave him a 0-point Spores. It was 0 points for the rest of the game, and stole his Triss. So got a little soft spot in my heart for
Yeah, I was doing a little co-op game with Gravesh and Kiwi. We were doing some coaching, and Gravesh managed to convince Kiwi to put the Ophiri Merchant in the deck. It didn't do too well, to be honest.
Yeah, you didn't have that Curse Scroll synergy for your round 1 abuse, man. That's where it's at.
That's where it's at, right? I see. That's the pro tip.
Yeah, I think you don't like Alchemist because you used all your luck up on all those games of Malaspina, right?
I mean, honestly, I had quite a few Alchemist rolls where I was stealing Vise. Like,
no,
I've played Alchemist probably more than anybody, if I'm honest. Like, I have a bit of a Warrett addiction.
Yeah, so that's fair.
I've had my moments of Alchemist. I reckon we're not too far away. Looking forward to the series. 2 Polish compatriots. Winner plays against Forever YOLO. Obviously, the game after this is the big one, in my opinion, which is Redra and Bart, followed by Gravesh and Paya. Lots more Gwent action. Forever YOLO, what did you think about him just like freestyling and that? What was your thoughts on that?
So like the biggest thing we kind of talked about, right, was potentially that that anxiety that kind of comes with playing in your first open, right? And he just kind of ended up, he lost the first 2 and kind of just erased that. He's like, he kind of took that YOLO in his name and just went with it, right? He just lived by it. He's like, you know what? What have I'm already down 2. It can only get better, right? Or I'm just out and I get to go home and relax. So just kind of jamming out, finishing it up.
All right, first game is underway. We have Tailbot on the blue coin with Blaze of Glory Skellige up against Kams with his Syndicate line pockets. Kams already having that ship in hand. Of course, that's going to be a nice mulligan target. Good news for him. He has the Sea Jackal, he has the Crown Splitter Safecracker, and the Justice. On the other side, Tailbot has a ship, which is going to be a nice proactive option. Doesn't want to have too many gold cards, but has the luxury to mulligan a bronze. Has got Iced and Herald in hand already, as well as Blood Eagle access. So it does seem as though Tailbot is going to have the full arsenal of his deck at his disposal in this matchup. Very similar Kams with that Anero as well.
Yeah, and he has the
Because
Fabiorn for like a Blood Eagle or Fleet if he needs it this round as well for a little bit of points. He got a little bit of engine set up as well, so hopefully gonna obviously have the stratagem to protect one of them up. Hopefully keep it alive so you can get through. Also protects against that poison. We do see it's the Fist Trafficker and the Fist itself in Kams' opening hand already.
yeah, Tailbot, of course, and the beautiful thing about open deck lists is he's going to know that there's no response from Kams in the form of a payday, otherwise he would not be making this play. And instead, he can use this Crystal Skull, use the Veil part of it, which is going to deny the poison value. Kams just maybe regretting having 2 poisons in his hands against against this Crystal Skull stratagem.
Yeah, and Tailbot can just sit there and hold, or Tobliat. I don't know which we should call him for the rest of the game. Should we settle on that one?
Mate, I'm going to call him Tailbot. I'm a boring guy. Not going to lie.
Okay,
you can call him Tobliat, though. That's all good.
Oh, I could be the fun one. I could be the fun drunk caster calling him Tobliat. Okay, well, we can do that little dynamic there.
So Tailbot going for his Vabion. Obviously, like Raiding Fleet is a nice card, but does risk not finding the Blood Eagle. So pretty ballsy move from Tailbot. This also, if I was Kams, I would be thinking, he's got Blood Eagle in hand. Otherwise, he wouldn't do this. But he does, of course, already have his biggest 2 golds in Herald the Ice. So maybe not valuing this Blood Eagle as much. And getting these 2 ships down, getting the bleeding in, applying a lot of pressure. Kams is going to want to slam this Justice as his next play. That's a lot of points. So get these 2 ships down as early as possible. And that is going to make this round a lot more difficult for Kams to just take as easy as you might like to a Syndicate.
Yeah, and seeing that those safecrackers come down right away at 7 points, and with the big follow-up of Justice, Tobliat, kind of had to respect that, go right into that Raiding Fleet and potentially risk, like you said, not drawing in that Blood Eagle. But on the flip side, he waits and he doesn't commit it, and then possibly you're in a scenario where you're losing on even to Syndicate, and that's just devastating.
Yeah, Kams really thinking hard about this one. What card should he go for? He decides to go for the Justice. I never could have seen it coming. He thought about it for a long time. I'd like to see it from Kams slowing down. We have seen in tournament settings how he got in Shaggy's head maybe a little bit with his fast play, but probably you would expect Tailbot to be one of those people that not going to be bothered about how quickly Kams plays and is just going to play his own game. So experienced. Again, no need for Tailbot to use the Crystal Skull unless he's no longer worried about poisons. I think Kams is going to be pretty happy to see this. I'm a little bit surprised to see the Crystal Skull being used. What do you think about this, Quill? Why is Tailbot decided now is the time for the Crystal Skull?
Yeah, it's a pretty early Crystal Skull, but was he just thinking that if he takes a Fist Tech or something, or this Trafficker, I could just take this pass potentially?
Mm-hmm.
As you know, the Trafficker gets pinged twice, buffs up the Greatsword, and the Fist Tech also isn't enough tempo either to really threaten. So maybe he's just thinking, hey, if I get poisoned, I'm just gonna pass.
Yeah, it's a really good point. Really, really love this play from Tailbot. Very, very, very 5-head indeed. As you mentioned, even though poison's such a big threat, it's really not, because this Greatsword is just going to be growing from the bleeding, and anything would not have gone ahead. So Tailbot, by using the Crystal Skull, isn't protected from poison anymore, but knows that most of the cards Kams is going to want to play is not giving him enough. Kams did have the option of using a leader charge there to get out his ship, so he would have had 3 more points. But let's not forget, this bleeding on his Safecracker is also going to buff this Greatsword up as well. So Tailbot would have still had the pass, even if the ship came out, and it would have just been a wasted leader charge. Mm-hmm. Tailbot now, decision. He's got the double ship down. He's got the Greatsword growing. He does have the pass, but he also has the board presence. What does he decide to do? And he does take that pass. Very happy as a Skellige player against Syndicate to not lose on even. I think that's the main thing. The biggest fear you have when you're playing against Syndicate and you're going first is just get out of the round, don't lose on even. Tailbot spent 2 cards that are very good in a long round, but he has done what he set out to do.
Yeah, another thing about this pass is it kind of does. Well, I guess it doesn't make it that awkward. He could just go shakedown or something to get the boat out as well. I was gonna say it doesn't, because he wants to get the boat out on this turn. Tailbot passing just a little bit earlier. But But yeah, we're gonna go into that round 2 bleed setting. Is you have to think that Kams is gonna want to try and get out this ice. That being the main thing you kind of want to do against the Skellige, and not kind of just give it that long round, because although they have that really good short round with ice, they also have they can have like an okay long round as well.
Little bit of a strange decision from Kams, actually going for his Aneromancy for a dip, which would strongly suggest he's maybe settled on the long round here. He did have the option of just taking the shakedown from hand. I suppose the shakedown he's valuing as a carryover card, as a much better card here as well. So maybe he will still be pushing. Shakedown, of course, one of the few ways to deny the bloodthirst of Skellige. But remember, this Tailbot lineup is very much suited to this matchup. He has the Morkvarg, he has the Hjalmar, so he can Hjalmar the Cleaver and then Morkvarg a Sea Jackal down the line.
Yeah, Kams does have some threats he has to kind of consider going into the long rounds too, right? With the likes of Herkia being kind of a problem card. I mean, he has the Bloody Good Fun, but then there's also still these hunters potentially that he might want to deal with too, and then these raiders just being able to remove quite a bit of different things off the board. So it's always something you have to kind of consider against Skellige.
And remember, of course, Tailbot having seeming a game plan to target this syndicate. Kams, if he can get through his syndicate first time of asking, you would strongly favor him to continue on in this matchup and make it through. Still only committing a Swindle and a Fist Tech. Of course, connecting his first Anera in round 1 as well, and keeping this gourd in hand, still seeming to suggest he fancies his chances in the long round.
Yeah, and like you said, that Oneromancy in round 1 play kind of pointed to that too, right? He's going to use these shakedowns to go and try and deny Bloodthirst. He says, "Hey, you put 2 ships down in round 1. Those are, so that's already 2 engines gone that I don't have to deal with in the long round 3. I have to deal with Herkia, and that's the only one I mainly care about at this point. Maybe Herald as well. Trying to get rid of that too would be something that Kams would want to do as well."
Now, if I'm Kams in a normal matchup, I would feel pretty good. I've committed very little apart from my Justice. I've got my Cleaver, my Drill, my Gourd, my Triss, everything. However, this is not a normal Skellige deck. This is a Skellige deck built with the intention to beat Syndicate. Tailbot still hasn't found that Blood Eagle. Will he find it on the last mulligan? He will not. Oh, he's still got one more. He has found the Hjalmar, which is a huge card. Hjalmar can answer that Cleaver and allow Morkvarg to apply pressure to one of these spenders that goes tall instead. And he keeps their hand on the other side. Kams here has his Gourd, has his Yak, has his Cleaver, has his Drill. And Neromancy is an option as well. The double shakedown to deny some Bloodthirst. But if you're Tailbot, this hand is looking particularly juicy.
Yeah, I mean, it's looking pretty juicy for Kams as well, too. I mean, both players managing to draw most of what they kind of wanted to find here. So going to be interesting to see how this long round 3 goes.
Yeah, one thing, if you're Tailbot, you would probably have liked to have had in his hand is a Jengi threat. Being able to lock a spender could then give your Morkvarg more value, as you force them to spend with maybe a Jackal instead. Of course, Tailbot having lost round 1 and Kams taking the pass in round 2 does mean that Tailbot is going to be going first in this round and able to develop some of his engines first. Kams isn't going to be able to develop his engines straight away. He's going to be slightly delayed in that, but he will have last say in this matchup, which means his Gourd, for example, can't get killed by the Blaze of Glory ability.
Yeah, order advantage is kind of interesting, right? Like Skellige, being able to set up all this removal right away is kind of nice for Tailbot. And then the Quaint carryover for Kams, he's not able just to take like a simple Bloody Good Fun and play uninteractive here. He has to kind of play units into Tailbot strategy and might delay a little bit on getting one of these engines.
Dr. Catoms asks, is Jams in Quill's basement? I think he's in his bath, mate. That's where I think he is. I think he's in Quill's bath. The shower curtain has been pulled round and he's got a do not disturb sign on the door.
No. Yeah. Well, I mean, I got the bedroom reserved for Chat's mom, so it's you got to keep him somewhere, right? That's about the only room I have left in the house.
Kams, a Neromancy gone. He used it for a heat wave, and this is something that Skellige can really struggle with when you're going first as Skellige. against these unitless approaches, which obviously we've seen from Kams taking the heat wave. However, Kams isn't going to be able to keep this up. And he is now investing. Looks like his Jacques is going to come down, getting that armor down on the board nice and early. So hopefully this armor can eat up some of the random pings from Harold. Not deciding to spend any coins with the Jacques either. Tailbot, his hand does have lots of proactive options as well. So not going to be... He wouldn't have been too upset to have seen like a bloody good fun come in or something like that.
Yeah, he's gonna have to spend some coins before these bloody good. That's why bloody good fun can be kind of awkward in some situations, right? Like when you have that coin carryover going into those rounds. Again, you can't really use it as that uninteractive card. You can't get that value out of it right there when you have coin carryover. And it looks like Tobliat going into the Hjalmar right now to get rid of this Jacques, trying to limit Kams' spenders here.
Yeah, really interesting. As I've mentioned, you could use Hjalmar to delete that cleaver, and then use Morkvarg to snipe down like a Jackal that you've spended with a lot of times. But also the Hjalmar can delete this spender, and the Morkvarg can do the rest. But love this from Kams. Just saying, do you know what, bruv? I don't care, mate. I'm not going to give you this Morkvarg value. I'm going to shake down something else. The problem here for Tailbot is this is where he would love access to a Gengi. If he could set up a bit of Bloodthirst, he could then lock this spender. But he can just kill it with Skjordr, which I don't think he's going to be too sad about. Let's be honest. Oh!
And hits the armor, but the armor getting value off this Jacques here. Pretty nice, getting a little bit of, able to hit both the armor. And then the shield's also probably going to get some nice extra value as well against Gilliga.
And Kams has a lot of coins, and he only has a couple of ways to use it. He has his Philippa, he has his drill, his bloody good fun, maybe being able to find an extra bloody good fun off of Triss as well. But you can see why Tailbot has taken this approach with his deck building. And it's exactly what I love to see. It's the wanged approach. It's exactly what I tried to do in qualifiers, but Tailbot has just got that refined, that little bit of finesse.
Yeah, he's got the successful approach.
Exactly.
I had to take Jag's spot. I feel like the casting duo is just taking shots at Spessy.
And if you're Kams, you still got to be a little bit scared at the potential of the Gengi threat as well. So denying as much Bloodthirst as possible means that the drill is going to be a little bit more difficult to answer. Of course, Tailbot doesn't have access to that, but it would only need a blood eagle. So you definitely expect Kams to respect. I guess if Tailbot had blood eagle, he could just go blood eagle into the Gengi lock straight away.
Yeah, kind of interesting. We talked about in round one that decision to commit that Vabjorn and then just not finding blood eagle throughout the game. Kind of interesting there. Wasn't able to actually pick that up.
Yeah, but I also really like the play because what it allowed him to do as well is get that raiding fleet down, which was going to buff his greatsword, while also getting the greatsword in the graveyard, meaning that his Hjalmar had that 10 removal range.
Yeah, I mean, he had to respect it, and sometimes, like you said, you just got to take that risk,
Apparently, Gengi's not a warrior. Is that true?
Yeah, he's not.
Learn something new every day. I don't play Devotion SK. I'm all about Portal Fish Flappers, to be honest.
True. You don't need all those other garbage cards when you got those. I think he's just the human tag. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he is. We can actually look. Yeah, he is just human.
If he had the warrior tag, he does, but he'd be absolutely just like broken, right? Like he's already strong just with that, but then adding like that extra free tag, tutorable by Blood Eagle, just with no setup is kind of strong.
That would be pretty ridiculous. Tailbot has obviously his Bear Witcher lighting up, letting him know that his adrenaline is activated. Kams still has a little bit of a spending issue. Like, you don't want to be taking this bloody good fun just yet, but the shakedown here can deny some of that bloodthirst and get your ship out as well. And even though you're going to over profit when you use the drill, you usually just end up drilling at 9 coins and just accepting that you waste the 1 coin profit with drill.
Yeah, I mean, you could also take the Philippa before drill potentially too to not lose that 1 extra coin as well if you get like what you consider a good enough target. this Berserker looks like it could potentially be a juicy target. 'Cause then you still have like a lot of coins left for the drill as well, and you're just getting good value for the coins you spend on the steel. So
yeah, and this Morkvarg not looking like it's going to be doing an awful lot, with the fact that Kams does have last say. This Gord is going to be his last card, most likely. So Morkvarg not looking too hot, but it is just another way of setting up Bloodthirst, and Kams is now out of ways of denying that Bloodthirst. So all Tailbot needs to do is find that Bloodthirst, and there he takes the Morkvarg. He says, "Look, mate, I know you've got Gord, but I know you're just going to keep on holding it until either you see my Morkvarg, it's just never going to be an option for Tailbot to Morkvarg the Gord." Takes it, sets up the Bloodthirst, and that Iced is now ready to go. It's Iced and two very tempting Philippa targets in Tailbot's hand.
yeah, we'll see when Tailbot decides to go for this Ice and which one he prefers on going for the discard here. But yeah, both targets pretty good for Philippa value. I mean, you're going to get a good bit of value for your coins, but you kind of have to go. I mean, unless you just take Philippa now, you kind of have to go for the drill and just give up on that coin.
One thing I just want to point out in this situation as well is this plant behind Tailbot. Very sophisticated guy. Like, what is it? It looks like something out of Minecraft.
I love it. We gotta go and analyze the plant gameplay later on. We'll go do a whole analysis deck on the choosing of the background for each play.
This Philippa has been taken, and Tailbot's got to be happy to see the Philippa come down at this stage. And this is what we mentioned about Bloody Good Fun. If this was any other crime card that's just damaging, you probably just would have seen the Bloody Good Fun come in there, but it just wasn't an option. And Kams really wanted to sit on this drill to remove some engines, like, for example, this Raider that is on the board. But he just doesn't have the option of playing the Bloody Good Fun. And now Tailbot, knowing that there is no longer a Philippa, might just be tempted to go for the Berserker. Of course, this Raider, you can get some Azeel on it with Bloodthirst 3. So if the Raider doesn't go for it, decides to go for the Raider, tempting in the drill from Kams, I would say. But of course, 4 coins less than Kams would like to have had with this drill, as it is the most efficient way of spending coins. In it comes. It is just going to full spend, of course. No other ways of spending apart from with this Bloody Good Fun. And if he does just leave himself with 0 coins, this Bloody Good Fun will come in and clean up this Berserker as well.
Yeah, kind of interesting. If Tailbot would have went Berserker, it would have made it a little bit awkward. Because that's a turn that Kams probably wanted to drill on, right? So then, you're not, drilling the Berserker obviously isn't great because it has that Berserk. It would flip. Right, it's dealing 3, not 4. So would have been possibly a little awkward if Tobliat decided to go for the Berserker earlier.
Oh, top decks the Jutta. Don't think that's what Mr. Tailbot is wanting to see here. Of course, if he plays this Jutta, she is going to be the tallest unit on the board for sure and damage herself down. That is a nightmare situation for Tailbot. Also mentioned in the chat, this Berserker does have the potential of removing some of the Bloodthirst.
Yeah, and I mean, you gotta hate to see that as Tobliat here. Again, there's a lot of different things like that can happen in RNG currently right now. Skellige's not immune to it. It's not only Nilfgaard having those those draw plays that can either make or break your game.
The good news here for Tailbot is it doesn't really make a difference in the long run because there wasn't a big target. Kams, has he managed to defeat Tailbot and get his syndicate through the first time of asking what a huge moment in this matchup? Is the Gord big enough? It is big enough. 16-point Gord. That is a big flipping Gord, mate. Kams saying, I've got a big bad boy Gord and I'm not afraid to use it.
I got a big gourd. I'm in my bathroom. The perfect area to go and present my gourd to you. So taking the match by 5 points there. So would it have made a difference if he didn't draw into the Utah there potentially, or do you think
wouldn't, right? Because in that kind of a situation, normally there'll be like a Jackal at 12 strength or something like that. But Kams did a really good job of managing his hand, and all the maximum target was like 6 strength, and it made sense to get rid of the drill as well at that point, right? So actually, it was quite a good find for Tailbot, as then it just allowed him to take the most points off leader, which was Bear Witcher anyway. So it kind of worked out just fine. But Kams finding the lines, taking the long round. Tailbot seemed confident that he could get out. SK, look, all I'm saying, right? If this was Pogner instead of SK,
here we go.
Syndicate ain't getting through, son. Tailbot, ring me, bro. Listen, we can prep together. I'll leave TLG. We'll start our own team.
You'll pull a forever YOLO right on out of there.
And we'll sign up forever to Baki, and Brazil is in the chat as well.
God, are you gonna bring Bowman with you?
No.
No?
Definitely not.
Oh, I'm sorry, Bowman. I did not expect this. Oh.
But like it probably can't be overstated what a huge moment in the series this is. Tailbot with his whole lineup sort of geared towards defeating Syndicate. Kams just saying, do you know what, mate? First time of asking, I'm going to give it my best go. And yeah, he pulls it off. And Jag is roasting me in the Twitch chat. And I'm just going to ask a mod to please time her out, please. Thank you.
Oh, I half expected. Now I need to use the loo real quick because I feel like that's going to be coming pretty soon.
It will be, yes. I've run out of booze pretty much. That's the issue. So wait for Tesco's. Tesco's will be here soon. Might have actually already been here. I'll check after the game.
But yeah, now we see the gift into the Gigatall punish Arrakis Swarm here. I don't know. I got to feel like Tailbot's going to be pretty okay with this queue. Obviously, Yurden going to do quite a bit. Geralt's going to get some value. So is Heatwave. Like all these tall punish cards going to get value in a matchup like this. Yeah,
definitely. Kams has been known to be a little bit predictable at times with the order he queues his decks in. Some people try and really mind game it and catch people off guard. Kams, from what I can understand, is often just happy to take his deck that is good on that coin at the right time. Does find Call of the Forest, which means there is the option of going for this Dunker TA, but pretty expensive in the fact that you're going to have to call for it. And of course, there is actually a lot of flipping answers for Tailbot. Normally, Dunker TA is just such a powerhouse option for this Nature's Gift deck because people only have one tool punish. Tailbot, mate, he's got about 17 of the things.
Well, then speaking of, Cam's also deciding to keep the Ithne in hand. Ithne being such a problematic card for that going for the Dunka strategy, because I know what type of player I am, and I'm a type of player that's going to hit almost every single one of those Dunka rolls right onto the unit that's not going to use them. So, and also not a lot of units in hand, so possibly pretty likely that if he was, to have Dunka in a hand state like this, that it would hit some, you'd lose out on some points to the Ithne.
Crimson Curse being snapped as soon as possible. Of course, it's a card that takes 5 turns to get its maximum value. But bleeding a Hammer Dryad Quill obviously does have the downside of maybe getting purified with a Dryad's Caress and things like that. But if you purify it and then Crimson Curse is still on the board, the bleeding is then going to deny the Vitality, which is going to play for a lot of points. So I like the decision from Tailbot here to just slam this Crimson Curse down on the board as soon as possible.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing I like about, obviously, like a card like Crimson Curse with the existence of Hammer Dryad. Sure, you can get the Purify on that initial turn, but it's going to keep ticking. And if you don't have your Treant spawn on that back row, then it's going to eventually whittle down that Vitality. And I mean, granted, if you have a handful of Caresses, I suppose you don't really care, right?
Tailbot with the Endrega eggs puts it next to the bug. Obviously, going to get that extra value off this Endrega Warrior. It does spawn an extra drone for every insect you consume. Kams, not really sure on what line he's going to go for to try and win this one against a Uridan Geralt Heatwave friend. I would not like to be Kams trying to find the lines to victory in this one.
Dude, I hate just being the person against one tall punish on a blue coin, let alone Tobliat has 3 currently in his hand right now, and Kams is running a tactical advantage, which, I mean, you can buff the Treants for sure to kind of play around that a little bit more, but there's also the likes of Yurden too. So that's something you're going to have to continuously consider.
Yeah, you would imagine like for Kams, a soft bleed in round 2 could be his best chance, because that could just allow him to nullify Yurden to some degree. Also, Gezras can be such a powerhouse, not just of course on the boost of the row that's going to get Yurden, but actually denying a ton of swarm. So if you can get down to that Adrenaline 4, your opponent's going to eventually have to try and swarm in the front row, and this Gezras could just be played at that Adrenaline and clean that front row up. A little bit like a crushing trap. So, or a gird even.
Yeah, I mean, already like juicy looking Yurden value already, and so quickly into the round. So, I mean, Cam's gonna have to play quite deep. We still have this Crimson Curse ticking, as well as Tobliat being, starting to get some swarm down and still being in decent range of Cam's here. So, do you think he's actually going to be able to really contest super hard into this round to be able to pull off that soft bleed strategy?
No, I think he's got no chance, mate. I've got to be honest. I don't see how he could ever win against this deck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was kind of thinking the same thing. I was hoping you'd go into a little bit more of a long-winded thing for chat.
No. I just want to give a quick shout out to Gravesh for doing God's work and timing out best for business. It's great to see. And there is the Yurden. Now, that is a big moment in this game, because suddenly the long round doesn't look quite as scary for Kams if he can manage to get through. Tailbot, having stacked the back row, of course, this Gezras is not going to be doing too much. The Crimson Curse is still on the board, and he does have the Council and the Call, a pretty gold-heavy hand. Seems a little bit sus. Now, if you're Kams, you suddenly like, all right, bruv, like, all right, you can win the round on even. You just lost a lot of your firepower. Let's see how he responds.
Yep, he responds by digging deeper into this round here. So committing the defender, pretty big moment as well. This heat wave, not going to be doing too much this round, and neither is his Geralt while hiding behind this defender. So we'll see how Tobliat decides to continue into this round now that Yurden's already committed.
Why the hell has he called himself Tobliat? Like, what's going on? Why does it even say it on the right-hand side? Like, yeah. How are we going to actually watch somebody called Just Headbutt play at a Gwent Open? And someone called Forever YOLO? Like, what is going on?
Spessie's already tired of his deal he made, to where he was like, oh yeah, okay, Lance, be the clown. You'll be the clown caster. Just say Tobliat. It's fine. I've said it 4 times, and he's already like, okay, mate, this has got to stop. I hope you change your name. If you get through these qualifiers one of these days, I hope you change your name for the Open. If you were to change your name, yeah, I was going to ask, what would you change it to?
I'm going to have to get back to you on that one. If you give me to the end of this game, I will get back to you. Chat's going to help me out too. But
Fish Flappers.
Yeah, Fish Flapper would be a good one.
That'd be a good
That's
one.
what my Valheim character was called, Fish Flapper.
I got a little bit of a risque one that would obviously be a band bait, but it rhymes with Maddock.
Nice.
Mad. Yeah, you fill in the rest, chat.
Yep. Tailbot still has the option here of taking this pass as well for his card advantage. Of course, this Monster's Nest is just an absolute dud. A complete and utter dud in his hand. The Geralt is just not an option. The Bone Talisman is lackluster. How many cards are on the back row? 3, 6, 9. The Yennefer is brick. This is a really awkward spot for Tailbot to be in. Does still have the pass, though. Kams could have taken that pass away with hitting the dunker. Will we see Tailbot take it? We do see him take it. I think it could have been in a really awkward spot if Kams took this 3 damage on the dunker.
On the dunker.
Kams takes the round, 2 cards down, having used the leader charge. However, he got rid of the Yurden.
Oh, interesting. I mean, probably would just get heat waved anyway, but now Gezras plays into that Geralt Larivia here, now being at 9 strength. Geralt being a card that removes a 9 strength unit from the board. So Geralt playing into that, or now Gezras playing into that Geralt, being the more powerful Witcher in this instance, removing it from the board is is quite nice too. So you could be a little bit more flexible with that heat wave.
And looking at the hands, the Gezras being at 9 strength, by the way, is rather unfortunate for Kams. I'm not going to lie. I think you would rather have an 8 strength Gezras than a 9 strength Gezras in this particular instant.
I think you'd also rather have like a defender too, obviously.
Yeah, but this 9 strength Gezras is a stinker. I wonder, like, this moment that it is sticking out to me is Kam's decision not to click the Dunker. It's a result of the 9 strength Gezras, which can just get Geralt of Rivia'd. And like, the hand was so awkward for Tailbot. The back row was full. The Monster's Nest and all those sorts of things were just going to play into the Gezras.
Yeah, I mean, Cam's going to take the long round now. I mean, you're 2 cards down, right? Like, you know, it allows Tailbot just to set up Swarm and then get the payoff here. Yeah, I mean, if this Pavko could be threatening, but I mean, Tailbot also he has the Heat Wave to potentially deal with it. He has the Wild Hunt Bruiser as well as another answer for this Pavko. So I don't know. Cam's going to have to rely on this symbiosis value to try and make it through this longer round 3.
Yeah, Tailbot's going to have first and last say because, of course, despite losing the first round, he lost 2 cards up. So he will be going first, but he will also get the last card down on the board. He's also obviously going to answer the gourd with one of his tool punches.
Yeah, and Tailbot opting not to go thin out a card as well from the deck. Yeah, I mean, you want to keep the Nested Evolutions good. I mean, maybe he wanted the natural selection for something as well, so just going Wispus front row. Not to mention, there's not like... I mean, you kind of want this Arrakis Behemoth. You didn't draw your Neuromancy yet. Those are all cards that, I mean, you drew into it now, but...
Kams finds that juicy Forest Protector in Tailbot, finds the Anero. The Anero is looking at a choice between Dora Grey, Dol Delok, or some Swarm payoff cards, such Swarm cards like Spontaneous and Arrakis Nest. It's also a Chimera. Kams, on the other hand, does have this Call of the Forest available to him, which can be pulling either a Hammer Dryad or a Kiran. Also has a Circle of Life, a Caress, and a Rebuke as options from his Fauve. Fauve? I don't know.
Fauve?
Probably.
I should have picked the weirdest way I could have pronounced it, and then you get to pronounce that for the rest of the series.
What's this tie you're rocking, by the way? Talk to me about this tie.
Fuve. Oh, this tie?
Yeah,
it's like I don't own a lot of ties. This is literally the only tie I have. Me and Sealy both bought. So we did this casting thing where we cast some meme games, and you know, for that series, we both bought Keck W ties. So, I mean, it's solid emo, man.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that being the only tie you own.
Tailbot slamming that Behemoth. Now, of course, this front row is going to be pretty easy to be killed by Gezras, but getting them all up to 2 strength means Gezras can only hit them once, then it can be heat waved, or can actually be Geralted because of the fact it's at 9. So the Behemoth is just a huge card in this one. The Circle of Life comes in, probably not going to buff the Gezras. We're going to buff the Pavko out of Parasite range.
So, chat, I'm going to interrupt for just a second. When Spessy asked me that question, I've kind of completely forgot we aren't on camera, and I might have held my tie up to the close to the camera.
Oh, yeah. I also forgot. Sorry about that. I'm used to being on camera when I cast, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it also might be the alcohol at this point, too. Who knows? Oh, no. Well, Pavko hitting the board now. You have to think that the Tailbot's going to want to. It's kind of nice that it's at 7. Obviously, to play around this Parasite would kind of force the Heat Wave as to be the answer. Although you could see possibly Tailbot, Tobliat, decide to also boost these up further out of this range. You know, so that the likes of like a Yen or
Tailbot, obviously, having a nice amount of boost already in the front row. The Chimera is not quite an option. Parasite could clean up this Ethne. You're never really going to be able to touch this Pavko anymore. Pavko is going to put in some serious work as well. So could even be tempted to take the heat buff on it, but it looks like he's going to cross the wrong sorcerers and takes the Yennefer, putting all his drones in the front up to 4 pretty much, and the ones in the back up to 3. Very, very difficult for this Pavko then to be putting in as much work as Kams might have liked.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like this play. I mean, it puts Pavko into that Geralt rage again, that 9 strength that we talked about potentially. If Tailbot is really incentivized and thinks that that's really a big threat and wants to remove, I mean, there's obviously quite a few turns left for Pavko, but also, you know, it just kind of gives him more flexibility on this heat wave potentially.
Yeah, it's a really interesting little interaction with Geralt of Rivia and the Yennefer. Not something I had considered. A little bit of synergy in there, you know. So that's pretty cool to see. Will we see this Geralt of Rivia coming? We do! Now, Tailbot only has 2 tool punishes left. Yes, only 1 left, which is Heatwave. But he has the Gezras and the Gord, and he would like to answer both of those for sure.
Yeah, and Cam's now just going for this echo, just kind of just playing it for its vitality value here. Nothing too extreme. Possibly going to see this last leader charge as well come down onto this Hamadryad. I mean, you could also see there's the option to go for like a crest as well. You know the heat wave is probably going to come down onto the Gezras.
Tailbot looking in a very good position, 23 points up. Here comes the Gezras. Of course, mentioning before, could have been devastating if this Gezras was able to wipe the drones from the front row, but the Behemoth, the Yennefer boosting these drones up. The Heatwave comes in, and while Tailbot's hand isn't that juicy, the point gap is pretty large. In comes the Dryad's Caress. That is no more tool punishes left for Tailbot. This Caress is going to play for an awful lot of points. In comes the second leader charge. An abundance of vitality down left on the board. Parasite, Bone Talisman, and the Aneromancy is looking at a Chimera most likely for the most points.
Yeah, Chimera likely coming down a little bit later. I mean, Bone Talisman playing for a lot as well. There's a decent bit of symbiosis, obviously, for this tempering, so it's not like too weak of a card, as well as its vitality still sitting on the board. Could be very potentially close.
Yeah, Tailbot forced to take this Chimera first, as the Parasite would clog his board. It would have filled up his front row, meaning that this Chimera couldn't have been an option. So you would just expect Tailbot to play his hand out with the Parasite, as that's going to get him an extra drone. Although I guess he could just use his leader charge, because there is going to be the leader charge left over. 5 points. Kams is ahead. Gord versus Bone Talisman. Of course, he's got 2 vitality, 3 points worth of vitality essentially on the board because of the Hamadryad. So he's at 85 points. Tailbot a little bit behind. So it is going to come down to Bone Talisman versus Parasite. The Bone Talisman comes in. Kams is Gord. We saw it at 16 points last time. How about it? 13 points.
Just not enough for Kams here, as Tailbot is able to take it, even though not getting that extra point on the Parasite here. Arrakis with the triple tall punish, obviously, like we said in the beginning, doing well into this gift, which plays multiple tall units.
Yeah, and just despite committing this rather wonky looking Uridan in round 1, it didn't matter because he had the luxury of committing this Uridan due to the fact he had so many tool punishes in his deck. Tailbot getting his Arrakis Swarm through, which is the deck we saw Shaggy struggle with, and Kams losing with his gift. He put up a good fight. I do wonder if this Dunker moment could have changed the tide. I'm not sure that's the one moment that sticks out. I think Kams played really bloody well there, though. It has to be said.
So, like, I know there was like obviously more turns, and possibly if Kams would have gotten ahead there, Tailbot or Tailbot would decide to continue playing into that one, possibly. And it's hard to say, but also like if it would have just got him that extra card, you had to think, he would have had the points there to make that up. If you're considering that Dunka kind of gets him that card back. So yeah, like kind of like he predicted early on, it did. I think it potentially came down to that Dunka turn. I mean, he could have also used a leader charge on the Hamadryad as well, right?
Yeah, ultimately, like the Gezras did get heat waved because Tailbot did this play with the Yennefer to boost the Pavko up to 9, and that was what Geralt did. But it just would have made things a little bit more awkward for Tailbot because the fact that the back row was clogged, like Yennefer just wasn't an option. The Monster's Nest was going to be pretty slow, and there was still the threat of then Gezras cleaning up that front row. Because Gezras, while he played for a lot of points to still swipe the row once, he didn't actually deny any swarm payoff, which is probably what you want him to be doing. And the fact that Kams won round 1, but he won it down 2 cards, just meant it wasn't really realistic for him to bleed and maybe get more value off that adrenaline value. We do have a Nilfgaard versus Skellige matchup. Quill, I'm going to run and go and get my beers, if that's okay. I'm not actually going to loot. I'm going to get my beers.
He's going to the loot chat. All right. Well, Spessy is gone to the get the beers. I'm doing air quotes, by the way, chat. You can't see it, but I'm doing air quotes. We see Kams queuing the Nilfgaard on red here into the Skellige. We see both poisons, triple poison rather, right away in Kams' opening hand. So if Tobliat decides to use this stratagem to play for Veil in attempting to deny a poison, we could possibly, we could see this cupbearer still complete the poison. There's also possible Artorias to complete a poison as well. So Kams does have a lot of options in this opening hand, despite being so bronze heavy. There's some locks to kind of play around with as well. On Tobliat's side, we do see the opening ship. We see Vabjorn into Fleet. We see the Blood Eagle in the opening hand this time. So not going to miss out on that one should he go for the Vabjorn into Fleet. So nice for him there. And this hand is pretty playable. The only 2 cards that, 3 cards rather, that you really can't play, right? You got this Hjalmar that's going to be lackluster in this round as you don't have graveyard set up. Obviously Iced, not something you want to play in round 1 on blue, and then this Herald as well. But all the other cards are pretty much fair game at this point to really try and vie for that round control. So, and we see Kams here kind of just going for this this thinning right away. Tobliat getting that Veil stratagem down right away to kind of just protect this boat. Kams does run the double lock, so Tobliat kind of respecting that, trying to really value this engine in this round 1 here, and possibly try to maybe save a raiding fleet or not have to spend all that out. So,
hi Quill, I've returned. I didn't come back with beer though. I came back with Jack Daniels, but we'll take it.
It's a really quick bathroom break.
I should have gone while I was gone, actually. Damn, I didn't think that heard. So what's happened so far? We're looking at Nilfgaard, Skellige. Now, this is a really, from Kams' perspective, as he's going second, what I've seen Kams do a lot in this situation is just play 3 cards and then pass. And then really the pressure is on the Skellige player to try and bleed this round 2 because the threat of the long round 3 and Spires clogging the board is too much. So looking like Kams has decided to do that, thinning the hunting pack, taking this tourney joust. He doesn't have that. He does have this throwaway Nausicaa potentially as well in his hand. Not going to be that good against Skellige, especially with all the tool punishes that Tailbot has. So looking like that is what he's gearing up to. Tailbot, I'm sure, having known his opponent in advance to this as well, could have easily gone on Specimen Gwent's YouTube channel and checked out the Kams VODs from the qualifiers and maybe seen that this was the line of play he's taking. So you'd expect him to be prepared for it.
Or you could check out any of the many Quillen Cup games that Kams has played.
True.
If we're going for the whole...
Where can we find the Quillen Cup games?
Actually, on the TLG YouTube channel.
Damn, son!
Such a good deal.
Now, what we also have seen from Kams, while he is taking this line of just playing a few cards, if he's within reach, he does sometimes change his mind and just say, "Look, mate, if you're going to continue being a little douchebag, I've got feelings that your hand is better than you're making it out to be." And this is quite a big commitment. The Blood Eagle, while okay, it's only pulling a bronze card. Like that means the echo value is not there in round 2 and round 3. So that is definitely going to be something that Kams is going to be happy to see. But also, does he get that read that Tailbot's hand is maybe a little bit gold heavy and he can force out some more golds? Again, the long round, you have to favor Kams. So passing for Tailbot, not really an option. Kams happy enough with what he's seen and does take that pass. As I say, Nilfgaard long round equals rat clog equals no thanks. So just gives the Nilfgaardian the ability to take this pass.
On the same side, Tailbot's deck does run the Herkia, and he was able to maintain Raiding Fleet as well, so does have a little bit of long round presence if the hand is a little bit too awkward to potentially push into it. So, I mean, you could see it. I've seen Skellige get out of insane long rounds where it's just like, you're like, you got the long round, there's nothing Skellige loses. We've seen it quite a few times in like these tournament matches where like Skomegalul just Skomegalul's, right?
Mm-hmm. So on the side of Kams, his hand is very bronze heavy. He did just find the Joachim. He does have the coup off Menno. He does have the double poison, a couple of locks. He's got the assimilate. He can't be too sad. On the side of Tailbot, he has a hunting pack, apparently, and a proactive bear witcher. That's not ideal. But at least he's got the hunting pack at 5 strength. It's also gold, apparently.
Yeah, I mean that's the benefit of Skellige, right? Like they just have that veteran hunting pack,
Oh, no. I finally managed to get my bottle open. It took me longer than I would like to admit.
That's okay. You're not on camera. They didn't see. I mean, telling them though now. I mean,
Tailbot saying, "Listen, Spessy, you're trying shit, mate. I don't care. I'm gonna pass." I'm surprised. Kams has to be confident that he's got this long round because his kind of whole like take on this mirror match on this matchup is taking this pass forces the Skellige player to try and bleed. Tailbot doesn't want any of it and says that, look, mate, I'm going to take you to the long round. And you would assume both these guys have scrimmed this matchup countless times. They know the lines, and Tailbot clearly feels confident and is sort of calling Kams out and saying, look, mate, this line you've been taking, I'm going to exploit it. I'm going to show you that it was wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, maybe Tailbot's just saying, or Tobliat's just saying that, like, hey, I have enough engines saved up here, and that like I can Skomegalul my way through the long round. If I have enough engines, he's got the raiding fleet for a ship. But then again, Kams has double lock in hand. Like, is this that viable of a strategy with double lock? Like, I don't know. Like maybe against the double slave hunter list, it might be more of a line. But I don't know. Kams with the order advantage here, like.
And Gravesh in chat doesn't seem to like Kams' line of play. This is the line of play that got him to into Open 2 already, right? I'm pretty sure he's already in Open 2. Am I talking rubbish? He was in qualifiers the other day.
No, he made it.
Yeah. So this is the line he was taking against Shaggy, and Shaggy was bleeding. Tailbot decides he doesn't feel the need to. And, it doesn't have an abundance of spies in hand, of course. Joachim, the proactive Joachim. Let's see what it's going to pull. Usurper an option still in the deck. Finds the Nausicaa. Going to play straight into a big fat Morkvarg, but of course no Morkvarg available. And is Morkvarg this Fangs? No, it's Harold. Harold is this Fangs. Morkvarg is in the deck for Tailbot, and of course it is no longer a warrior, so it's not going to be tutable.
Yeah, unfortunately, Tobliat missing out on that. Maybe, Iced comes to the rescue and possibly draws into it. Potentially is what we could see in this matchup here. That'd be a sight to see, right? 10 cards in deck, just kind of drawing into the Morkvarg there. Hey, Blood Eagle doesn't tutor it, no problem. I got the Ice tutor.
Mm-hmm. Here comes Herkia, as you mentioned. Really great card in this matchup. She doesn't look all that, but Veil, 5 strength. She can't be turny jousted. She's going to eat a Purify off the Cupbearer and then a lock. A lot of the decks aren't playing lock, so at least there is that option. But of course, Cupbearer, a card you would prefer to be using as a poison in most situations, but does also get that assimilate value down. Mm-hmm. Tailbot does have the option, of course, of kicking his Herkia, knowing that the lock is probably coming up next. Still has Harold in hand. Haven't seen it committed. If I take a quick look in the graveyard for Kams, Kams does have a Raider in his graveyard, so there is a threat of the Invo, as well as maybe a coup on this Harold to punish an early Harold. But of course, if you're Tailbot, you still want to get your engine down on the board.
Mm-hmm. And looks like that's exactly what he's about to do. Going and rezzing up this 2 damage raider here, going to get a little bit of that removal reach on the board. Cam still has double lock in hand as well to start dealing with some of these engines that Tobliat is leaving sit on the board. We'll likely see this Herkia get the lock.
Yeah, Cam's in a bit of an awkward situation due to the fact that this Menno is this coup is in the graveyard, right? Like in his deck, sorry. He had Menno access, so bit confused. If we're looking at his hand, he of course can find coup from his Roderick, but he also has Cantarella location and Usurper all in there. So it's no sure thing. The Vigo comes in, of course, for that little bit of assimilate engine. Harold is now down on the board. The Emissary comes in. You probably expect to see the Vigo boosted to get out of removal range, and there it is. But it is only a Bear Witcher in Tailbot's graveyard, so this Hjalmar has 8 removal as it stands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Cam's missing out on quite a bit there. That's not what you want to see. You don't want to see Roderick hitting 4 targets in that round 3. So, I mean, if he possibly wait, it's all spies. So wait, if he hits the coup, then Joachim's into Usurper right away. So I mean, that's something at least. And there's no Morkvarg, so like, yeah.
Takes the invo, sees the leader, doesn't find the money cards. No Beagle, I think that's what he was looking for here. Finds the Iced, knowing that the card is going to top deck. The Skjorl, who is just, of course, at 6 points. I think he was looking for the Blood Eagle, right? He was looking for the Blood Eagle on Vabion to pull the Harold. That would have been such a dutty little play. Would have propped to the Assimilate a couple of times. Misses out on it, though.
Yeah, I mean, time and time again, I see like this is why I'm so disincentivized to play Nilfgaard right now, because for one, often it's that double cross list. I've seen some nasty misses on leader, even when you try and maximize your point value. Then there's the Joachim RNG, and now there's going to be some RNG in what Roderick's going to find, right? Too my mind just can't handle this.
Kams, confident in his line, but maybe he's starting to feel less confident as this round goes on. The body language, he's in his bath. He doesn't look too happy. Maybe he just needs a few more bubbles in there and it will cheer him up a bit. Hopefully he's pulled the shower curtain round as well.
God, do you know how long I'm waiting for this game to end right now? I actually got this I'm ready to use the word you taught me, man. I was gonna be like, Kams has put on his wellies. He's ready to go through the long round against Skellige. He's not gonna get wet. Skellige being, the water. Got the ships going on. He's got wellies. He's gonna stay dry. Also good for his bathroom if his shower starts to overflood. It's
a 6-point game as it stands. Baratheon comes in. The board clog is just not there from Kams. This is what you want to see if you're Nilfgaard in the long run. You want to see the board clog. It's just not happening for him. It's just not enough, lad. Whereas the side of Tailbot does have the Bloodthirst enabled for ice, could still draw into the Morkvarg and discard the veteran.
So Kams is pretty much at that point where it's if I don't hit the coup, it's kind of over, right? He's just going for that full ball proc in that one turn with finding that coup onto well, I mean, wait, yeah. I mean, I guess he can hit Roderick and do Usurper too, but I mean, he's got to find that coup, and hopefully it rolls the 50-50 and hits Usurper as well. I don't think he really cares to hit the Herald at this point. I mean, actually, Herald's still pretty good. Here
comes the Ball of Masquerade, of course. This Thirsty Dane will get an extra point from the Fang. However, it's going to get Skjorl, so I don't think that's particularly relevant. The Jutta has got a good target on this 15-strength Nausicaa, and it could just come down to this Roderick roll. Of course, Kams is going to be looking for the coup. as mentioned, he has a Herald on top, right? And also, if you had like,
it just guarantees Herald. Yeah.
But otherwise, if you had 2 coups, it would have been Usurper, right? So if he found this Blood Eagle from leader, he would have gone Blood Eagle on the Vabion, pulled the Herald, then he could have gone coup, and it would have guaranteed Usurper, and it could have looked like a different game.
Yeah, I mean, see here again, like we kind of talked about, like we were so like, oh, Nilfgaard likes the long round. I mean, Nilfgaard doesn't like the long round when you miss so many goals in deck, right? Like you need to still draw pretty well too. Otherwise, Skellige still does have that long round presence with Herkia and such. And Kams missing out on literally every decent card there. That's not what you want to see for that Roderick to hit.
Yeah, not only is he bathing in bathwater, he's also bathing in tears after that roll. Oh my goodness.
I mean, it's okay, right? I hear bathwater, like he's not going to get the money from this match, but at least you can sell bathwater online now for some good money. So, I mean, no.
Tailbot takes it. Special delivery. Look at this, son. Let's have it. I've got burgers being delivered soon as well, Quill. You're going to be very jealous, man.
I am, because I'm pretty much just going on no food today. So we're just going pure whiskey at this point. Like that's my calories for today. So, yeah,
are you whiskey and coking it, or are you just straight whiskeying it?
Well, take a look and find out.
So I'm looking at the delayed stream rather than the Discord call.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're like live on Discord, so
yeah, that would be an idea.
That's the comfort of drinking Southern Comfort, right? You got the plastic bottle, all good to go here.
So, what's the score in the series? Is it 2-1 to Tailbot?
2-1 to Tailbot. He's got one list to get through here. It's his Nilfgaard. His God, I keep forgetting the name of his leader ability. Right? Is it
Imprisonment?
Imprisonment,
right?
Yeah.
And this imprisonment leader ability is really, in my opinion, mainly targeted at the Skellige, the Syndicate matchup. But against GIF, where they've got an abundance of purifiers, it's probably not what you're going to be wanting. You would much probably prefer to have access to a Gezra's or whatever else, But we'll see how this one plays out. Kams does have the Dunker, which, as we know, is a really nice option with TA. Of course, he was just kind of doomed in this previous matchup. Last time he played Gift against AQ, and he made it a really close run thing. So if he can get through with this, Kams will just have one deck left, and it will be a Nilfgaard mirror. Now, if I'm playing in a Nilfgaard mirror, I would much prefer to be the man playing Double Cross as opposed to Imprisonment. So I think this could be a really important game. If Tailbot wants to make it through, he's going to want to do it now.
Yeah, I mean, historically, like Double Cross has just been one of those leader abilities that's just really good in the Nilfgaard mirror. I mean, creating another one of your you force your opponent to play awkwardly, right? And then you just got extra provisions as well. Like it's just really traditionally good in Nilfgaard mirrors. So I'm possibly looking forward to like a little bit of a clown fiesta myself. We haven't seen any alchemists yet so far that are really, really out there. So
Quill, apparently somebody in the chat doesn't like it when people call her Dunker. So let's make sure we continue to call her Dunker for the rest of the stream. Dunker. Dunker.
Badunka dunk. Badunka dunk. Your mom's got a nice badunka dunk.
Oh, no. This went like we were doing all right.
No, we're fine, man. We're fine. It's okay. We're not that drunk.
Dunker's just continuing to get the points in. Of course, there's no option for Tailbot to go for Invo on this one. So she's just going to continue getting the points, and this is what she does best, right? Just puts in that work. It's part of the reason that this gift deck is just a very nice tournament deck to take on the blue coin, because a lot of decks can find it very difficult to deal with her. There's other things you want to be tool punishing as well.
Yeah, and kind of another nice thing about Kams' hand here is that, again, we kind of talked about this. He in the last time he queued gift, he had Ithne in hand round 1 that absorbed. Well, it was just one of the buffs that game, but now doesn't really have to worry about that here and get some really nice power cards and the likes of Pavko. Something you want to buff up your engines, as well as this Force Protector, possibly going to be this massive tempo play later on. That's going to be quite frightening.
The Pyrotech hit in the Pyrotech. 7-point game at the moment. Dunker's still going to continue getting points. Kams is running out of bronze cards to play, but he does still have this Rebuke, which he does take. Doesn't find the extra 2 points of the Deathblow. Figus is the card that gets buffed. Shaping Nature, of course, being an Echo card is going to be a nice option. Round control, often what you're looking to achieve against Nilfgaard. On the other side, Tailbot, his hand also becoming a little bit more awkward as this round goes on. This remedy he has is not doing much. Does have Menno into Cupbearer, into Coup, which could be used on the Emissary or the Informant, but only gold cards apart from that. And of course, this Cupbearer here wants to be used as a Purify to answer Defender for sure, or just like the double poison on Defender.
Yeah,
interesting to see what he does with this hand. It is looking a bit awkward. Of course, you'd much rather have like a Joachim in your hand here, and you could play the Joachim and then coup the Joachim for a lot of points. Does go for the Vigo by the looks of things. Probably just going to be the Emissary.
It's quite interesting. Tobly had decided to, despite the current point gap, willing to really continue into this round a bit further, shortening potential round 2, while this Dunka is still ticking. And now Kams is just able to go into this, this is what he wants to play out this Shaping Nature. So not too mad about that. Still keeping a good point gap. This Dunka ticking. So going to be quite interesting if Tobly decides to still continue into this. It's going to get quite expensive for him. Yeah, not to mention the fact that like shortening round 2 in possibly when Gift often wants to smoke a hard bleed too, right? So like you want to possibly a little longer round 2 is Nilfgaard to try and defend that.
All right, chat, talk to us. Who is in the favored position? Who do you see winning this match? Do you think that Kams is going to take it? Do you think Tailbot's going to let us flipping know? Come on, give us all your energy. Unless your Brazil is in the chat.
No, we got a little bit of feud here between the caster and a certain chat member. So
I'm still just salty about him airing me and going, "Oh, especially you took 1,000 games to get top 64. Oh, you suck, dude."
Oh, just wait till later on in this cast when I'm echoing the same thing as I'm about to fall out of my chair. So
Pavko coming down. Quite late on, but again, this hand for Tailbot just doesn't get any cleaner as time goes on. The Vigo's gone. The Menno into the Coup is gone. This remedy is now active, admittedly, on the Emissary. So this Coup play has given Tailbot an extra bronze card that he can play. Kams, on the other hand, just has an abundance of gold cards. And this Figus is looking humongous.
Absolutely massive, which is kind of ironic for a dwarf to look so massive, but he's quite tall at the moment. Might not be allowed to be called a dwarf anymore pretty soon. As Tobliat still continues to go on in the round, setting up having that Emissary in the graveyard, allowing this remedy to be active here, which is not always the case in round 1.
Yeah, like if I was Tailbot, I would have been looking at this as like a potential mulligan target, but of course he realizes with this hand he's going to be queuing one of his spies anyway. Kams, it is getting a little bit dark in his bathroom here, but he's still in this round. He's still looking to take it. He's now committed the council and the leader charge. Dunker has not been clicked. She's still going to continue buffing. And Tailbot knows, like, okay, mate, look, I might have to give up one of my gold cards here, but I know you're going to have to give up one of your humongous gold cards that's probably been buffed.
Yeah, I mean, Cam's still getting another 2 points here, and Tobliat having to take the pass as Dunka continues to buff up this Figus here. This Figus is massive, man. Like, do you consider him to even have the dwarf tag anymore, or does he just lose it now, getting so tall?
He's yeah, I don't know. I was going to say something inappropriate, but I stopped myself.
Yeah, the inappropriateness is kind of my job, right? We can't have both of us.
Okay, let's have a gander at the hands. Kams, of course, as a devotion deck, does not have the ability to heatwave this Masquerade Ball. He had a very stacked hand. He was guaranteed the Naping Shaper, but his 2 cards somehow are a Pyrotech and a flipping Tempering. Not ideal. Very important to note, Tailbot's mulligan here, mulliganing the best card in his deck, the Masquerade Ball, fully anticipating Brother Jams to attempt a siege, a bit of a bleed here, and try to get rid of the ball. But of course, Tailbot, having mulligan the Masquerade Ball, never has to make the 4 tempo play.
Yeah, I think we have a double prediction on our hams, or on our hands here. Is it looking good for Cams, or is it looking good for Tailbot here as well? Secondary prediction: did Speci actually slur the Naping Shaper, or was that intentional? It's up to you to decide, chat.
Okay, I can reveal. It's a Lank Rampart one, right? You know who Lank Rampart is, don't you?
No, I thought that was just kind of some new slang you were about to teach me.
He's it's Frank Lampard, right? But I call him Lank Rampart because it's like backwards. That's what Naping Shaper is.
Well, I knew it was kind of like tossed around a bit, but yeah. I just wanted to assume that we're already getting into the slurring point.
Honestly, yeah, it's now I've actually got a lot of drinks. It's just only going to get worse from here. So, chat, you're going to have to just forgive me for my casting ability.
I'm right here with you, brother. We're going down together.
I've already peaked. Like, I think I've done my part for the day with some good casting, which is a stretch, honestly, but it's only going downhill.
Literally the first series. Guys, I've already done my job. We're good to go here.
But yeah, so Kams has been able to start with this Pyro, which was at least proactive, and then takes the Tempering, which of course gives this Pyro the armor, which is playing for extra points. The downside is, like, realistically, he would much have preferred to have been bleeding with like a Hammer Dryad, something like that, and then like the poison's just not much of a threat on the Hammer Dryad.
Ooh.
Here comes bad boy Figus.
Oh.
And of course, Tailbot has the Cupbearer to purify, but he doesn't have the double poison.
Yeah, he can't. Yeah, he purifies it, but like, so what is this? I mean, I guess Ku's coming down on the Duchess every time. Luckily, want to get the Cupbearer down first for that extra assimilate points, obviously. I don't know if we're gonna end up at. I'm kind of sad, Speci. You want to know why? Not sure we're gonna be able to see the Clown Alchemist come down here. It might just be.
Probably right. Yeah, you're probably right. There are some situations it would still be correct. If, of course, 5 points is enough to take the round. Cams, does he sense the follow-up poison? There is still a Fangs available in the deck of Tailbot. This may incentivize him to take the Veil. It does. That is less points than the other options of Naping Shaper, but of course it protects him from the follow-up Fangs. This coup is not looking too hot. You can either play a Rowdy Dwarf, or more likely you're going to take the Pyrotech Informant kind of combo. Very interesting, though. This Forest Protector, as it stands, will kill the Cupbearer, but it's only Assimilate available for Tailbot in hand. All these cards proc the Assimilate, so this Forest Protector is not going to be able to get the Death Blow bonus, apart from if Tailbot randomly clicks the Pyrotech.
Yeah, something also that often happens in this matchup that's quite interesting is, why it can be pretty nice for, not one of the many reasons why it can be nice for Nature's Gift, right, is these Dryad's Caresses. If Cams happen to have a Dryad's Caress in the graveyard, which he doesn't, but, potential to purify this Duchess Informants here, making this coup extremely awkward. But of course, Tailbot knows It's not in the graveyard, as you can see that, but
Thanks.
We got a little Spessy Dad audio.
Yep. Just what you need, right?
I mean, probably a better caster, right?
True. Yeah, true. Absolutely just what you're looking for, right?
But it is continuing to get darker in the Kams' bathroom. I'm not sure what it looks like in Poland in general, but you'd have to assume it's the sun is setting. Kind of weird to have a window in the bathroom. I mean, that's not usually what you want to see in a bathroom.
Is it a window? Nah. Maybe it is. I assumed it was like bath tiles.
I mean, did he just run out of electricity in the bathroom? It's just all powering the toilet right now?
I'm not sure.
Question we'll have to ask in the next interview.
So he does decide to slam down the Forest Protector. Has he done the maths? Obviously, the leader charges from Tailbot offer 6 points of just pure value. Not the best leader in the world, but it's still points. Usurper plays for 12, but it's going to proc assimilate twice. That's 14 points. So double leader charge Usurper means that Tailbot can take this on even, but he will have to invest his Usurper. He will have to invest his double leader charge. He will have to find his Joachim and his Masquerade Ball for the next round. But surely he will do it. Kams looks disgruntled. Tailbot looks electric.
Is it because of the lighting?
It's the cactus, man. The cactus is the star of the show, in my opinion.
Is that cactus or is that aloe vera for his opponents for the burning he's going to give them?
Yes, it's that.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he's like, yeah, I got some aloe here for when I flame my opponents.
It's going to come down, Quill, to if Tailbot draws the Masquerade Ball. Kams managed to start off this series in absolute dreamland, defeating, getting his Syndicate through. But Tailbot showing, look, mate, I know I'm trying to beat Syndicate, but the rest of my decks is still good against the rest of your decks too. Here we go. The Fangs. Will we see the Masquerade Ball? Pret.
Finds the Joachim at least. Finds the Joachim.
Just needs the Masquerade Ball. Will he find it? It's an emissary. Oh my god! The Mulligan.
Kams finding the card, finding the call.
What a Quill. Will we find it?
I don't know.
Oh no!
Does not find it. Does not find the ball. Kams has the Purify here. For this Joachim, we just talked about this earlier in the last round. Are we psychic, Spessy? Are we predicting the Purify on a spy? Kind of glad I'm not on camera right now. Holy shit.
Let's remember, Tailbot mulligan the Masquerade Ball in anticipation of this round 2 bleed. He ended up with this coup in hand left over, and coup is going to be pretty bad. Here we go. In comes the Nautica. Kams. He breathes a heavy sigh of relief. That is not Masquerade Ball. That's what he doesn't want to see. What are the options of this Call of the Forest? Well, he has Kiran, he has Gezras, he has Efne. He has an abundance of gold cards available to him. Will he go for the Efne to set up this Caress value? Probably, right?
Yeah, this Caress is looking pretty good. You got potentially Efne here onto this. I mean, you could. I mean, what else are you gonna go? I could go. Yeah, I don't know what else. I mean,
Insomnio roasting us in the chat, Quill. Alternative cast name makes sense. I don't think he's happy with our casting of this.
Don't worry. His mom's opinion is the only one that matters, she is right there in the next room, waiting to congratulate me afterwards. So we're all good.
In comes the Fove, getting that little death blow action as well to boost up this Treant in the front row. In comes Joachim. What will Mr. Tailbot find? He's got the options of a Fangs or a Nausicaa. Finds the Nausicaa, and Kams is like, hold on, bruv. This means you don't have ball in hand. There comes the Caress.
The Caress, we called it round 2. Purify on the
emissary. And how big is this flipping gourd, bruv? Show me how big your gourd is, son. Oh, it's a 14-point Gordo. And here, Kams takes it. Tailbot just not good enough at the game to draw his Masquerade Brawl. And he's got to be so sad.
Imagine...
He scratches his head and he sighs. And it comes down to the Nilfgaard Mirror. Everybody's favorite game in Gwent. The high skill gap. The no low rolly. The no board cloggy. Everyone gets to play all their cards. No issues. Mirror matchup of dreams.
See, Spessy, here's the thing. When you're in the bathroom with your pants down, you're always going to find your balls. So I think Kams has a little bit of the advantage there being in the bathroom with the pants down. I mean, you're going to find your balls like...
This is like a mix between a Jaggerus and a Quilt, like all into one. It's like a pun that's just degenerate as well at the same time.
Well, I mean, I'm the degenerate Jaggerus. That's what I
Isn't that Denpai? Isn't that Denpai?
I mean, I'd be having my feet showing up on stream, you know. That would be a...
Just so to let you guys know as well, I am wearing shorts and a shirt. All right, it's fine.
I don't have pants.
Are you serious?
Don't call me out on it because...
Mate, listen, well, in my country, pants mean something different to what they do where you live, so you need to be careful what you say.
Oh, no. All right. Can you teach me some more slang today, Spessy? I guess that's what I'm waiting for. And we get to see the Nilfgaard Clown Mirror. I'm so ready for this. This is going to be the best thing. Get in your bounce houses, get your makeup on, get your rainbow wig, and get your red nose, because here we go into the Clown Mirror.
But yeah, of course, this is one of those situations where this imprisonment deck for Tailbot just not looking like the motive at all. Kams got his syndicate through. So what is the flipping point of this imprisonment? You certainly don't want it in the mirror matchup. Kams is just going to have the extra provision in his deck, first of all, but moreover, the option of like a second coup, a second usurper, a second Brathan. So much juice. Coup especially could just be complete filth if you get a second one of those.
It's also a little bit scary for Tailbot being on this blue coin potentially. As proactivity becomes an issue, and this is not what you want to see. You do not want to go and just have to go and emissary this lamp. I mean, this is like a last resort, but does that play into the poison?
What a game of play this is, and Kams has the fangs, has the Vigo potentially for another one, but it's not guaranteed. What will he decide to do? If he wins this round on even, he books himself a place in the qualifier. He goes for the Joachim. He's looking for the poison. What will it find? Could be Usurper. It finds the Brathans. Holy shit. Holy moly.
And Kams living up to my phone auto-correcting his name to Jams, just jamming away, slamming the Joachim. We see the Brathans come down from the Joachim, and this round is getting scary for Mr. Tobley out here.
Complete filth on the Joachim pool. Often you don't want to find the Brathans, but this is one of those situations where actually you're applying a lot of pressure. You already know that Tailbot's hand is a little bit wonky. Also, this Coded Weapons is just not the kind of card you want in your hand for 5 provisions if you're going first. Tailbot, let's have a look at his options. Well, he has the Cupbearer as a poison. Goes for the Joachim. When he finds the poison, he finds the Menno into maybe the
coup into another Joachim to throw it on the tempo. Yeah.
Boy. Are we going to find the Fangs? We're finding the Nausicaa. That was definitely a slur, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie. Like, my mind immediately, when you said Coded Weapons because of your accent, I thought you said co-ed weapons, and I got really excited. Like,
I have no idea what co-ed weapons means.
Oh, God, Spessy.
Sorry. The Vigo doesn't find that poison either, so Kams is just going to have an incomplete poison on his hands here. This Fangs in hand, which is looking so tempting, on this 12-point magic lamp is just not going to be a possibility. He does find at least the informant, and he's 4 points behind Tailbot at 8 cards. Somehow these guys have managed to fart out 76 points between them in just 4 turns. That is pretty outrageous.
Honestly, this is like one of the mirrors where it's like, it's probably better to be drunk casting. to be honest, because it's just such a wild ride. And like, let's go. I'm here for it. I'm ready to ride the roller coaster. It's been a while since I've been to Disneyland, so let's go.
Any mods in the chat to time out Necarus, please? Any mods in the chat to time out Necarus? At least 500 seconds, thank you. Here comes the Cupbearer Purifier on the Joachim. That is going to deny, of course, the coup de grace. And of course, Kams doesn't have the luxury of those slave hunters, which could help him out. So Tailbot finding the advantage. Tailbot's deck also not playing those slave hunters, which you can often see just being so important in this mirror matchup for this exact reason, right? So Kams, his options are more limited now, right?
So here's the thing with this Purify and this Joachim. I mean, so Kams, it might actually be better for Kams, so he doesn't like high roll, just going Joachim and then hits like his Usurper and overcommits, right? Like it might be better to eliminate that line from him, so he just goes like coup into this Duchess because he has 2 Assimilate on the board. Now he has 2 Nausicaas. Like Menno into coup on this Duchess is quite a bit of value. So might be better that that Joachim line is kind of disabled from.
Yeah, and chat have pointed out an unexpected turn of events. Kams has found the cord that you pull down in your bathroom to turn your bathroom light on. He's pulled down on that cord, and suddenly Dark Kams.
Wait! You have a cord to turn on your lights in the bathroom? What?
I mean, yeah. Especially in hotels, right? You go to a hotel, you like pull the cord.
Guys,
he's not, mate. You don't poo in the bath. He's in the bath.
Come on. But you have a light switch. What do you mean you have a lamp to light your bathroom? What person has a cord for like?
It's health and safety, bro. Alchemist time! Alchemist time. Here we go. Oh my goodness, my anxiety's through the roof. Kams doesn't low roll. Has the option of giving an informant, an emissary, or an info. But bear in mind, these spikes sometimes can be huge. That anxiety. What is Tailbot? Just the fangs. All right. And Kams' curse is going, damn, I deserve to high roll you.
So my anxiety still remains, despite this Alchemist being gone, because I'm afraid that you're like having this switch and then like you trip and fall. I don't know. Like, who has a cord for the light switch in the bathroom?
Lots of people. Now,
chat,
just to have a serious moment, I can only apologize, everybody. The location is like a really important card you actually want to play in round 1 in this mirror matchup. And the reason is board space, of course, can be a massive factor in this just fantastic mirror matchup that everybody loves. So because it's a carryover card, getting this location out round 1 for Kams is great. Because in round 3, it's no longer going to be a thing. Now, added to that, there is also Mr. Payable, having spoken to him and played with Green Knight and stuff, and maybe Gravesh too, I can't remember exactly. But bleeding this mirror is a real possibility. Will we see Kams do it? I'll tell you what, the proactivity is just not flipping there, mate. He doesn't have the slave hunters. He's got a handful of a couple of locks. He's got a handful of a couple of fangs. How on earth do you play proactively with such a hand? Cantarella, though, could play a Joachim. You could just slam it.
So at the very least, I think we want to get rid, because speaking of, right, you're very right in being that Gorther is definitely a card you don't often want to have in that round 1. And what is happening? We see a Roderick coming down here. Looks like Kams might be deciding to just...
Are we going to see the ball? Are we going to see it? Yeah.
Yep.
I like this. This is the line, mate. This is the 5-head line. Sod the RNG potential of this like board clog. You have a real advantage at times if you can push this out. Because also he's got the location down on the board. This Cantarella into Joachim play is only going to be an option in this round. Added to that, Tailbot has committed his first coup, whereas Kams has not. And he has the leader as well. So he knows that Tailbot is going to have some bad boy gold cards left in his hand. I love this from Kams. It was a high roll with the Roderick. There was Usurper, Cupbearer, there was coup, but he found the ball.
But like, what if you don't find that ball then? Like, are you just like...
You just have to go for it. In comes the leader charge from Tailbot to lock up this thirsty dame. She has been shackled. Kams has the option, of course, of a lock of his own. It's not a leader ability, but just from hand. And Kams takes the leader, finds the usurper. Will he click it?
I mean, typically usurpers want something you want to leave, but it's kind of hard in this round 2 to want to just leave it. So he does go for the click here just to get that tempo going into this round 3, and does take the lock onto this Dame, disabling that engine and throwing some points on the board here.
Little bit surprised to see this early leader from Kams, because it could have hit Tourney Joust, Coated Weapons, and Cantarella or something, right? Like, there's always going to be some juicy gold cards in the hand, but finds the usurper. Cannot be too unhappy about that. Of course, still has Cantarella on Joachim, a couple of Fangs, a lock. This Remedy is looking at playing an Informant as well, so a juicy hand for Kams. On the other side, Tailbot, he has this Tourney Joust, he has this Coated Weapons. It's his second coup. Kams hasn't played coup yet, I do not believe.
So you know what, Spessy?
The
clown in me, which is probably 90% of my being at this point, the clown in me really wanted Kams just to go for that Roderick into ball and then immediately leader and find Tailbot's ball.
But what I like about this bleed from Kams is it takes back some of the agency in this matchup, right? It says, sod this high rolly random long round fiesta of board clogging. Like, I'm gonna get round control and I'm gonna bleed you, son. And I like it.
Yep, sod it off, mate. Get
Exactly.
your wellies and wade into that sod. It is a little bit wet. It's a little bit, you sink in a little bit like quicksand. So, to be honest, I'm just trying to find any way to fit wellies into a conversation because it's like the only slot.
Kams takes the Informant on the 30 Dame, which procs his Masquerade Ball. Really, really heads up play. He only had one other ball. Well, he had two with Cantarella, so all right. He has Cantarella onto the Joachim and then the Kuba. Takes the Dame, which does get responded to by Tailbot with the Coated Weapons. That means there is a 30 Dame on top of Kam's deck, which is going to make his Joachim more predictable, but also probably worse.
I mean, so now, so you're Kams, right? Like you leadered already and everything, and like, so now you have this guaranteed Joachim that's not gonna like you're still gonna have that really good short round 3 and drawing. You know you're not gonna hit Usurper off Joachim, so that's kind of a good sign. To be honest, provided you can stay ahead, right? So
Tailbot 20 points down. His biggest poison target is just at 6 strength. He's already invested 1 leader charge, and there's nothing else worth locking at the moment. Added to that, this location threat is just looming over him. He does have a location of his own, but Mentor not an option, and he knows that his Alchemist from the location will just give him a thirsty Dame. That's not what he wants, mate. He doesn't want a thirsty Dame.
Yeah, he is currently full on any liquids. You know, it does not. I tried to make a pun there, man. I'm not sober enough to make that.
We see the Viper Witcher being played to clog Kams' deck. Of course, the Alchemist is mentioned, not an option. There is now, what's this card called? An Operative and a Dame on top. This means that the double Joachim that Kams has available to him is slightly lackluster. I love this play out of Tobliat. Great stuff. And what a finish we have on our hands here.
So kind of the good thing for Kams though is right, like his Joachim still in deck. If Tobliat is ever gonna commit this Usurper quite a little bit early, there's the Invo just to go for the carryover play, just to say like, hey, I'm gonna have this amazing short round. I'm gonna draw into this double Usurper, and I'm gonna have an amazing round 3.
Kams and Tailbot, the Polish gurus, going head to head. It's been a great series, chat. Team Leviathan Gaming versus Team Legacy. Remember, the winner is going to be playing against Forever YOLO in the semi-finals for a chance to make it to the grand final of the Open. No disrespect to Forever YOLO, but it's a great opportunity for one of these guys to have like a pretty, all things considered, a matchup that you would be happy with. I think it's fair to say, and I don't think Forever YOLO can be too upset with me saying that. So it's a big old game, because either of these players would be the favorite to get to the final should they win this series. 7-point game. Of course, Tailbot still has a leader charge available. There is now a poison down on the board. Both balls have 1 chapter remaining, but Kams does have this threat of the location looming. Let's not forget his top decks are an Operative and a Thirsty Dame. Quill is not commentating anymore. He's decided to be flaming people in Twitch chat.
I'm kind of flaming myself here. I mean, that's what you'd love to see, right? But again, so if Kams ever decides to just play this invo for carryover at all, there's always this Cantarella. So that's the interesting thing about this mirror, right? Like, if you ever want to play this invo just for this value on like a usurper or something, then the opponent, if they haven't spent Cantarella, has this option just to use your invo against you.
Yeah,
so
exactly right. Yeah.
Definitely becomes an
10
interesting thing in the
points.
mirror.
So Tailbot just has such a juice at hand. That is certainly helping him out. The fact that he's managed to basically draw every gold card. The only gold cards that aren't in his hand is Invo. It's just 1, which he can have a guaranteed pull from Roderick. So Tailbot has, despite having maybe the lesser leader in this matchup, just got the gold heavy hand. And there he comes through, completing the 2nd chapter of the Masquerade Ball, following up that poison. Kams, of course, still has a chapter remaining and a poison down on the board. But ultimately, he's a card down. He's 3 points of leader down.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows that his Joachim is pulling a couple of duds.
Okay. Yeah, you go for the invo carryover play. I mean, so Tobliat has invo in deck. There's potential for him just to jam the Cantarella, but like, what else does he have in deck? This Roderick's not doing much. You know, he's not going to be able to cycle the Joachim if he jams the Cantarella now. So I feel like it's a pretty good carryover play for Kams here.
Now, this is like the fact that Kams has taken the initiative and said, look, mate, I don't want the long round. Maybe it's just costing him at the end of the day because of how good Tailbot's hand was. Like, with this lead ability, you really would have fancied Kams to win this one.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, like, Tailbot's leader ability doesn't actually play any units for him. It's just 6 points that aren't putting an extra card on the board. So maybe it's not even that bad. 23 points. The carryover play denied, and Kams has got clogged as well. Triple clogged for Kams. The top decks are a complete and utter nightmare, bruv.
I mean, that's the thing about these clog cards, and Kams still going into this round realizing that, you know, he has a bunch of clog on his deck. Gonna put Coup on the top of his deck as well, so 3 top decks kind of guaranteed here. So let's see if Kams is able to force more out of Tailbot yet, or Tobliat.
Here comes the informant for the Thirsty Dame, which will, of course, complete the final chapter of the ball, but doesn't even get the ladder head. Kams, Tailbot looks like he has pulled this one off.
I mean,
but this usurper is very scuffed. Let's be fair, the usurper is very, very scuffed indeed. Board space an issue for Kams as well. The Roderick, of course, would fill up the board. However, I do believe the only card that can be pulled off Roderick is an Invo, so that's not an option. Of course, there's no Joachim, so this coup can't clog any further. The usurper's just a 9 points, so a little bit of an awkward spot for Tailbot. Just a bit of an awkward decision, but overall still feeling confident. In comes the 9-point usurper. Doesn't click. And that means Kams is going to be forced to pass because Cantarella doesn't have the possibility to get him ahead here.
It does, right? If he finds Invo, that's like the only card that can get him ahead.
So he just YOLO Cantarella's into Invo. He was the line, right? If we see Invo on top of Tailbot's deck right now, chat, Kams just missed an opportunity to do him dirty. Dude, let's have a gander.
That would be the true clown YOLO line right here, and it was not. Dude, what a game that would be, though, right? Like, if Kams just YOLO'd Cantarella, just pulls the Invo, gets carryover, as well as just like, what a game.
and Kams not drawing the top decks of the gods. Tailbot hasn't even decided on his mulligans yet. Has a bit of flexibility. Kicks the Roderick. Doesn't have a great hand either, but what he does have is card advantage, mate. This Cantarella for Kams is just a complete YOLO. But he just got completely clogged, man.
Wait, though. So Tailbot has a bunch of emissaries, right? I still got one more mulligan.
Can we break the hunting pack here? We could. He swerves that.
So, like, if Tailbot's forced to buff something up, like, what does he go for first? I mean, I guess he goes for the Vico. Or the Remedy, as it's now called. I still call this card Vico from beta.
But yeah, I have to be honest. This is kind of my experience of trying to bleed this this Nilfgaard mirror. You can try and be like make the more risky plays and end up getting punished as a result of it. Like maybe Kams in reflection could have just gone for the clowny long round 3 mirror. But a Nordska is replied to with a Thirsty Dame. Of course, Tailbot now has the option of taking the Informant or the Emissary. He could, of course, lock the Dame as well and play a hunting pack of his own.
So the thing about this mirror is, although we call it kind of clowny, right? There's so many different lines and different scenarios to take. Like, as much as it becomes like this clown fiesta of just like randomness, it feels like there's a lot of decisions you can make in terms of like winning the game. Like every game I've watched of this, there's a lot of like weird decisions, but there's also a lot of like different considerations to make. So it's one of those that becomes kind of like I don't know. I feel like a lot of players feel like they're shoehorned into just like, oh, it's randomness that's going to decide the game, but not really. Right? There's a lot of decisions you can make that can kind of influence the outcome of the game.
Kams setting up these dames, and it is all going to come down to the Cantarella. Jag in the chat has called it. Cantarella into Roderick, into Usurper, could win the game for Kams. It is not yet all over.
That is like Cantarella
deciding not to take the lock. Has wasted a point till this point. Little bit surprised we've still not seen the lock come in from Tailbot. In comes the Emissary. No lock. This is it.
Here we go. I mean, there's 2 chances, right? There's 2 chances, right?
Rodders? Oh, no.
But there's another chance, Svesi. There's another chance, right? If he still finds...
It's not over yet, Quill and Lance. The coup can still find it. Now, Tailbot should not thin his hunting pack because it could pull the hunting pack, right? You'd rather that than pull the Rodders. So he has the option of playing the hunting pack, which obviously means Cantarella has less chance of being good. But if Cantarella hits the hunting pack, he's going to win. So the coup is the play. Having looking at both hands that Tailbot should be making. I'm still surprised to see this lock has not been played, wasting a couple of points to this moment.
Oh, he goes hunting pack.
The thinning.
We see it. 1 in 5. 1 in 5, Spessy. Are we going to see the clown?
Oh my good. This is it.
Granted, I don't think it wins either way, but you know
it is a 16-point gap, but the Usurper is going to buff the Dames twice. It's going to... here we go. Let's not forget the Cantarella is also going to buff the Dames by a couple of points. 1 point each. The Rodders would buff it. Kams is clapping. Oh, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Finds the bell, Fred. He's not skilled enough. And Tailbot takes it 3-2, and he's going to be playing against Forever YOLO. What a great series from these guys. Big round of applause. I enjoyed it. Good stuff.
A little bit of a golf clap there for both players. Definitely was entertaining. Came down to the wire. 2-2, Kek W, E2. And we got to see it come down to the final game, which is always what you want to see in these matchups, right?
Trust me, yeah.
I mean, do you want it to come down to a Nilfgaard mirror? I don't know. You be the judge. I mean, it is a clown fiesta, but hey, I mean, it is fun.
Yeah, so Forever YOLO, the 3-2 over Shaggy. Tailbot with a 3-2 over Kams. And it is a Forever YOLO versus Tailbot semi-final. You've got to favour Tailbot in that one. To be honest, the newcomer against one of the most experienced players in the scene. And up next, we have Bart versus Red Rain. Mate, I'm so gassed for this one. A little bit of bad blood there. A lot on the line. And then we've, of course, got the TLG death match. Just headbutt play, aka Gravesh versus Payable.